Hi and welcome to a demo of how to include multiple line items tables in Glide. I'm very excited to announce this. So far only a single line items table could be included in automated documents. Now multiple line items tables are possible, and actually the change to achieve that is pretty small. For those of you not familiar with DocsAutomator at all, I encourage you to check out Glide's documentation, or if you go on DocsAutomator.co, there's a knowledge base, and then you'll be able to find Glide there as well, with videos and written documentation. So let's look into this. Like, how do we define data, or how do we declare data so we can write multiple line item tables out of it? Let's have a look quickly at the template that I've been using here. Like always, random data. We have some contacts and some locations. As you can see in Glide in a minute, these sort of are contacts and locations of a specific company. Basically, that's how the Google Doc needs to be defined. So if you have multiple line items tables in DocsAutomator, then you say line underscore items underscore 1 for the first one. That's how the variables need to be called. And then with the 2 for the second one, 3, 4, 5, an unlimited number of line item tables. The automation setup in DocsAutomator is very straightforward. You select Glide as a data source, you add that URL, and that's it. What we need to understand is how DocsAutomator wants the line items array to be formatted in order to accept multiple line item tables. We have two line item tables here, and basically the structure is an array of arrays. So you see this outer array, so that's where a list begins, a list of all the tables. If we have two line item tables, I think that's also in this example exactly, then in this outer array there are two array items. This is the first item, and then this is the second item. And in those items, this is an array again, because the list of things here is an object of every line. So this object basically corresponds to a single line in one of those line item tables. So it's a bit more complicated than in a single line item table, where we have basically a flat array and not a nested array like here. But that's how it is. We just need to now figure out how to basically define the data coming from Glide, which we'll see in a minute. But what's also a bit different here is that the actual values have like key values, and then it's an object again. And you also need to give for every line the line item number here, which is line item num and then 1. If it's the second one, then 2, etc. So let's look at the data. We're here in Glide. I want to print from these companies. So I have companies, and then connected to those companies, contacts and locations. I've printed a document here already for a company A. I can also go to company B. I've done this as well already. And as you can see, we have some contacts up here and then some locations down here. The combined table, everything will be combined in the companies table in the end, right? So we pull from contacts and we pull from locations. So let's look into contacts, because that's sort of the lowest level, and that's basically where we need to declare the rows of in this case our first table. If you're familiar with single line item table configurations, then you already know this one. This is basically using the make JSON object here, and then we're basically defining every column in our table. So line items, one name, one email, image name, 150s. We just give all of these, and then this is always K for key and V for value, and then we map the corresponding value from the table. So that basically creates our line items JSON. That's for that would now be enough for a flat array for one line items table. Because we have multiple line items tables, we need to do something else with this, and I've used a template field for that. So we see this multiple line items JSON field here, and you can see the template configuration. So I'm saying opening an object here, and then values. This needs to be in quotes. That's important. Values, and then line item JSON. This is what I'm substituting with the value from this column. And then line item num in quotes again, and then the number. In our case, 1, because context is the first table. That's all we have to do on the individual table level, where we're pulling that data from. Locations is exactly the same. So I have the line items JSON, and then the multiple line items JSON. Let's combine these things in the companies table. So what we need is a joined list of all of our linked records. So we have, in this case, company B, 2 linked records from the contacts table and 1 linked record from the location. We build a joined list of those contacts. Basically, we select the multiple line items JSON that we've created, and then we separate this by comma. We do the same thing for locations. That basically now gives us, if we go back to our JSON, that gives us this. So, we're combining basically these outer objects here. And now the only thing that's left is we basically have to create this double array. So basically we're building this from the inside out, if you want to think about it that way. And this we do, I've called this column, it's always hard to name things, final multiple line items array. And basically this is a template field again. And as you can see, double square brackets, and then, or think about it like single square bracket, and then in square brackets again the array 1 and array 2, and these two get substituted with the values from the joined list that we created. So here, of course, the joined list contacts, and then for the array 2, the joined list locations. And that's basically it. So if we now go to the button and where we have the generate document action, we have one other variable in our template, which is name. So I'm taking name here and I'm substituting this with the name. And there's line items. So if we go to the JSON, this is basically this line items. And then behind that line items, we want to have this nested array, which we are passing via our final multiple line items array. Just to go back to the companies table, this was that final field. And now if we go to company C, let's say, and we click on create document, then we wait a second. And there we go. We have 2 tables printed on our document. Yeah, I stopped recording then yesterday. As you can see, there's now sun in the room. But all that was left to say was, now you know how to include multiple line items tables from Glide. Getting that discussed syntax right can be a bit tricky. So if you need help with that, please reach out to me in the DocsAutomator chat or on the Glide community forum. Always very happy to help you figure it out, troubleshoot quickly, and get you up to speed. Hope you enjoyed this video, and happy automating. Speak to you soon.